Now that our master bedroom is mostly finished, another project that needs attention has caught my eye. And it hasn't caught my eye for the best of reasons. Our office is currently painted in this terrible shade of an almost seafoam blue. And the more time that I stare at this seafoam blue, I can just tell this is the next area that I need to start working on. Those scalloped moldings, the terrible color, the mismatched trim. It's making me cry.
This room is going to be our office, and as you can see right now, it's in a bit of a state. Reason for that, we've been using this as kind of like our store-all area while we were working on our master bedroom, while we were living in our guest bedroom. Well, we now have gotten our master bedroom to a point that we can move in. It's not finished, but most of the heavy lifting for now is done. So, I think I have to start doing something about this room. Eventually, the ugly blue paint will go. What we're gonna have to do in this room is get it to a point where it's a bit more organized, especially for right now. We are still moving stuff around, still getting more furniture, still figuring out how we're gonna organize everything. So what I'm going to start with is just taking everything out of this room. I know it's only going to be moving the mess, but it's at least going to clean up this area a bit so that I can start to get the ideas of exactly what we're gonna do here and maybe start doing some basic prep work. Let's get started. Now the first step here should be very obvious. Declutter, get as much stuff out of this space as I possibly can to give myself the room to actually do what I need to, and getting this room blank is gonna kind of give me an idea of exactly how we're going to redo this room. Realistically, this one should just be pretty much almost as simple as the master bedroom. We're gonna get some paint, we're gonna change out some trim, we're gonna paint some doors. We've got some doors that we've got to fix too. That door is not square at all. The main door here on the front, casing's broken. Casing's gonna need to get replaced. Some of the trim's coming down. The ugly scalloped trim. Well, I say ugly because I think it's ugly. The scalloped trim over the ceiling is gonna go. There's still some holes left over from some anchors that I had removed that I'm gonna need to fix as well. But before I get too far ahead of myself, I'm just gonna try and get this room cleaned up.
With the bulk of the items removed from the room, I set to the task of organizing my workstation and getting back to the basic items that I still needed to prep in this room. Sanding down some of the walls, filling some holes, and then I would later start on removing the scalloped trim.
Okay, so I have already gone around and gotten some of that scalloped trim molding off on this back wall. Got all of that off, and then I've got some of the molding off on this wall. And I wanted to just explain what I was doing real quick. So I was actually using my 6-inch putty knife to just kind of get up against the edges of the scallops. I was using that knife to get up under the edges of the scallops and tap upwards so that it would actually do a couple things for me. It would cut the paint as opposed to it pulling off. Now that wasn't foolproof, it did still pull off in other areas, but hopefully by cutting through that paint when removing it, it'll make it a little easier to feather out. Ultimately though, we're probably putting molding back up, so it's not that big a deal. But it did give me a wider surface area to cut that paint to remove and make removing this molding easier. I could have gone through with a box cutter and just cut up against all the lines, but I didn't want to spend a lot of time over my head following all that lines and possibly like skipping and pulling the box cutter down, so this just made it really easy. The last thing that helped with using the putty knife, it was able to wedge in there across much more of the surface area. So it was not only cutting the paint, it was also helping me to wedge the molding away from the wall before I got started on pulling it off. And as you would have seen, I just used my pry bar where I needed to with the putty knife underneath of it to protect the wall. But I did get to some spots, especially over here and in this corner here, where the molding pretty much just fell off. So easy peasy for me. I'm going to go ahead and continue with the rest of the molding around here and around in the studio area, the door. I'm gonna get the molding off. So I will come back when that's done. And that is the trim off of the crown molding. I have been wanting to do that for 2.5 months, and it was so pleasant. I liked doing that one. I actually liked taking that off. One, it was easy. Two, it just kind of gives you like a, wanted to do this and it's gone, and kind of gives you a little bit of inspiration for the project, right? Okay, so the next thing that we're going to be working on is inside of the closet. It may seem weird, but here's the deal. There's obviously storage space potential inside of this closet. We would prefer that our office not have everything out all the time, or at least that you could see it. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start in the closet so I can figure out exactly the storage solution to put everything away and out of sight and everything that's going to need to be in there, and work my way outwards. Sounds like a good plan, right? Plan's a plan. It might change, but a plan's a plan. So we're gonna go ahead and keep cracking on.
Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel New Yankee Does It so you don't miss anything on the New Yankee Homeworks projects or playlists. In the next episode, we're gonna work on fixing this door.
Good.
We'll make our way into the attic to go check for monsters.
You got any teeth? Please don't eat me or my dogs.
And then we're just going to continue to look for the scope of work that we have ahead of us, either from poor projects, bad planning, or just unfinished motivation. For now, though,
See you on the next one, Mr. Monster. Bye for now.